Hi, I'm Ready Set Go, and the bike behind me is my 2021 Yamaha MT09 SP. I've had this bike from new. I've clocked over 6,000 miles on it, doing all sorts of riding in all sorts of weather conditions. So from commuting down the motorway, going out for a scratch on the weekend, I've done a bit of touring on it and done a bit of camping on it. This bike has generally been my day-to-day workhorse, and so I thought it's a great time to reflect on what I like and don't like about this bike. This is my 6,000 mile update. So why did I buy the bike in the first place? For me, it was a big step up over the previous generation MT09 SP. We had the Olins, we've got the gold KYBs, but we now have the 6-axis IMU, TFT display, up and down quick shifter, cruise control, a refined CP3 engine as well. So the whole package just seemed to be, upper level over the previous generation. I used to ride a Tracer 7, so jumping from the CP2 engine to a CP3 just seemed a natural progression. Big fan of Yamaha, so it was just kind of the one that stuck out. I know not a lot of people liked the Cyclops design headlight of this generation MT09, but for me it just kind of summed up the dark side of Japan. It looks stripped back, it looks naked, it looks aggressive, so for me it was a no-brainer. Gold KYBs, MT09, I had to have it. There were a couple of other bikes on my radar at the time, the KTM 790 Duke and the Street Triple R from Triumph. I didn't ride the Duke, I did ride the Triumph, really enjoyed it, but I liked the riding position on the MT09. I felt I could go a lot longer, do more miles on the Yamaha in more comfort compared to the Street Triple R, but no taking away, the Street Triple R is a phenomenal bike. But for me, the MT09 SP just seemed to be more comfortable and have a bit more playfulness to it. So what have I been using the bike for? As I alluded to at the start of the video, I've been using it for all sorts really, commuting down the motorway, day and night, rain or shine. I've been using the SP to get up and down some of the busy carriageways here in the UK. Getting to the office, I've also been out scratching on the weekend, done a bit of camping on it, I put panniers on it, loaded it with luggage, and it's not missed a beat. It was a little bit slippery in the campsite when it was really wet. Ended up doing a 360 on the bike, a donut, which wasn't intended at all, but I didn't drop it. But the bike has not missed a beat at all, and it just starts every time, it goes every time. So in terms of being like a day-to-day workhorse that you can rely on, I've had absolutely no problems with it. What's the best bit about the MT09 SP? For me, it's the engine. The CP3 is just an absolutely phenomenal engine. It has stacks of top end, it's got loads of torque at the bottom, and it just seems to bring all the good parts of a 2-cylinder and a 4-cylinder together. It's a great power plant that you're not going to endanger yourself, and you're not going to brake. Horsepower, loads of torque. It does everything really. You can cruise along on the motorway and it's not too vibey at all. It's really comfortable, it's nice and smooth, but you can, power out of a corner in 4th gear, 5th gear, and just pin it open and the bike just picks up and goes for it. It's absolutely no problem at all. So the power plant for me is just amazing, and it's got an amazing soundtrack as well. That CB3 coming through this exhaust system that they put on this generation MT09 is just amazing. It sounds great when you really wind it up and you get that really high-end roar coming out of it. It's great. And I know the new generation MT09, the 2024 one, has those acoustic amplifier grills on the petrol tank, on the fuel tank, like you get with the MT10. So it's going to sound even better if you do get the next year's model. But for me, yeah, the power plant is just so flexible, it's fun, and it's comfortable. There's so much enjoyment to have out of the engine, but it's also incredibly practical. Quick mention about the brakes, I've never had a problem with them at all. 1-finger, 2-finger braking on the front. It's got the radial brake master cylinder as well. There's lots of feel, lots of bite there. I think perhaps if you're a really experienced and skilled rider going around a track, you may find some limitations there. I know the new generation MT09 SP has Brembo calipers on the front just to increase the stopping power, but for me, as an everyday rider, 98%, 99% of the time, never had an issue at all. It will stop beautifully on the front. I do use the rear brake quite a lot, especially on corner entry and mid-corner, and I've never had any issues with it at all. It's a really comfortable and nice sure-footed rear brake to use. So quick mention about the chassis. You've got the gold KYB's fully adjustable forks at the front, and you've got the Öhlins rear shock, and it really is a sublime riding experience. Perhaps a little bit more refined than the standard MT09, and I would say a lot smoother, bit more softer compared to the Triumph Street Triple R, which I found was quite firm, a bit like a sports bike. But the MT09 SP just soaks up and eats up everything whilst giving you lots of feel, especially when you're going into corners or powering out of corners. Just absolutely no problem at all. I don't have to think about the chassis or the setup when I'm riding, and that's probably really a good thing. Next up, the riding position. The riding position on this bike is absolutely perfect for me. The number of times I've arrived back home from a ride out, whether it's commuting or going out for a blast, get off the bike and I just feel I'm not cramped up, I'm not seizing up, and I always think to myself, my God, I love this bike. You know, yeah, it's got the engine, it's got the suspension, it's got the braking performance and all the electronics and everything, but you know, the riding position on this bike is so roomy and flexible. You can do anything you want to it. You know, cruising along, it's just so comfy. You're sat upright, your arms are nice like that, your shoulders are back, and it's easy. But when you want to really go for it, you can put your feet on the pegs, you can tuck down a little bit, and there's loads of room on the saddle to have fun. It's such a flexible, upright position. It's just really great. It works for me, and that's one of the big appeals that I had for this bike compared to bikes like the Triumph. Was the Triumph, you were kind of more tucked over, bit more, it just had a bit more of a sports bikey kind of feel, and that was obviously the allure of the Street Triples. They are naked sports bikes, so to speak, whereas this just seemed to be a little bit more upright, and it just allows you to do pretty much any kind of riding that you can think of on the road. The seat as well, the seat is super comfy. I don't think it's too firm at all. I think I've never had any butt issues like, you know, ache. You know, we all get achy, you know, sitting on a saddle for hours on end, but I've not had any problems where after half an hour, 3/4 of an hour, I'm thinking, my God, I need a comfier seat. I mean, the only issue I've had with the riding position is sometimes like when I'm doing some spirited riding, you know, and I put my feet on the pegs and I go into more of a racy kind of position with my knees a little bit higher. Sometimes after a while, if I put my foot down to stop at the lights or stop at a junction, I'll get a bit of cramp in my hip flexor. But I get that with pretty much any bike I ride. That's just not so much the bike's fault, that's me for not being flexible enough and not doing enough yoga. So, but yeah, in terms of the riding setup and the position, it's brilliant. You can also adjust the foot pegs. You can actually raise them up higher if you want a bit more ground clearance. I think if you're going on a track day, perhaps if you want to do some real hardcore track daying and get some awesome lean angles going on, you might adjust those and raise them up. But for me, I've left them as they are, and it's brilliant. So in terms of electronics, the MT09 SP does come with quite a comprehensive electronics package. You've got the 6-axis IMU, riding modes, traction control, braking control, wheelie control. It's all in there, and it's all great to keep you safe on the road. In terms of the riding modes, I use most of them. I don't use mode 1 so much. For me, that's quite an aggressive mode. Mode 2 for me is where it's at. If it's a nice, bright, warm, sunny day, stick it in mode 2. The bike gives me everything that I want from it. Mode 3 is more of a sensible commuting in the morning kind of mode. And then mode 4 is your rain mode, which if it's damp and it's raining, I'll stick it in rain mode all the time. And the difference, the power output and the way the bike feels from, you know, rain mode to mode 2 is night and day. You know, you can really twist the throttle hard in rain mode and the bike is very soft, and it feels almost a bit more CP2 level of power output. So there is night and day differences between those riding modes. Elsewhere, you've got traction control, braking control, wheelie control. I keep all of those safety features turned up to full. If you're a really skilled rider going out for a track day and you want to feel the rear wheels spinning up as you're going out of a corner or something, then you can turn those settings down if you want to. But for me, I just keep those safety features turned up to full. It means I don't have to worry about it. So in terms of accessories and add-ons, I've added only a couple of things. I know a lot of people have been out there adding all sorts of wings and bits of bodywork, but for me, I've kept it quite straightforward and simple. First up, I added a screen at the front. This is by a brand called MRA, and I think it's made in Germany actually, and it does a really good job of deflecting the wind away from the chest, more up to eye level. I chose that screen because I like the design of it. I think it blends into the overall look and feel of the bike. Next up, I added some CRG lane splitter bar end mirrors there, nice trick folding mirrors, which are great. I really did like the design. It kind of takes away the big mirrors and makes it all look quite sleek and low profile. I think I am actually going to change them back to the standard. I've had them for a while, but I am wanting to add some heated grips to the MT09 SP, especially riding in the autumn and winter months. I really can't bear it anymore. I'm going to get some heated grips, and I might even get some hand guards, and perhaps even go for the old street rally look from the earlier generation MT09s, just to deflect the wind, but also give it a bit of an, more of a tougher look. I really do like the look of the hand guard, so I might get some hand guards fitted and some heated grips. So those bar end mirrors will have to come off, obviously, to fit the hand guards on. So I'll keep you updated with that as I get to it. I've also fitted some Metzeler tyres, the M9 RRs, to replace the S22s that came with the bike. The S22s are a fantastic tyre. I've used them with no problem whatsoever, so if you do get them, they are a great tyre to run with. I got the Metzlers purely because I had a great deal offered to me, and also some people in the industry said that they are a fantastic tyre. Now, I did fit these towards the end of autumn as we're approaching winter, so I've not really had a chance to fully explore and push the M9RR Metzlers, so that will come into the new year when we hit the spring. I'll give you some feedback about the tyres then. Next up, I fitted the quad lock wireless charging head to the bike, and that for me has been an absolute game changer in terms of having my phone fully charged. Means I can use the map function, Google Maps, for as long as I need. I can also listen to music in my helmet through the cardio unit connected to the side, and yeah, it's just one of those things, I went out camping and I didn't have any charging facility at the time, and so after 2 hours of riding, the battery on my phone was draining and almost run out. It means you arrive wherever you're going with like 8% battery, and trying to find somewhere to charge is a real complication. I was trying to lead the group as to where we were going camping and stuff like that. So having to pull over and think, oh my God, I've got to get my battery pack out and try and connect my phone to it, it just made things a little bit complicated. So to have a wireless charging head on the bike, it just means you arrive at your destination with a full battery on your phone, especially when you're camping and there's not many power points around to connect to. I keep the bike washed regularly, have it serviced regularly. The only problem I had with the servicing was that there was a software update recall when I first got the bike. That was all taken care of by Yamaha, no problem. People ask me, what bike are you going to get next? And at the moment, I can't see anything replacing this. I can't see anything that's going to tick all the boxes. And there's some beautiful bikes out there. The XSR 900 GP that was at Motorcycle Live recently, the queues of people just coming up and drooling over this bike, me included. Stunning bikes, again with the same kind of power plant, same kind of package that this bike comes with, in the red and white. Oh, beautiful bike. But for me, would I be leaving that outside in the supermarket car park? I'd be paranoid about leaving that anywhere. But for me, the MT09 just kind of blends into the shadows quite nicely. Some people don't like the look of it. I love the look of it. I think it looks great. So at the moment, there's nothing really that can tick all the boxes that this bike is ticking for me. But that's my 6,000 mile update so far. I've had absolutely no problems with the bike. If I did, I would have changed it. And right now, I can't see myself changing it, apart from actually improving it by adding some heated grips and other bits and bobs next year, just to make the ride even better. So if you are thinking about an MT09 SP, if it's on your radar, I urge you to go out there and have a test ride. Put your leg over it, go out for a blast, and just let it put a massive smile on your face. I've had no problem at all over the last few years. 6,000 plus miles. This bike hasn't missed a beat, and I can't think of anything that's going to replace it. So if you have any questions, please drop them below in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. And if you have enjoyed this video, if it's been useful to you, please consider liking and subscribing. In the meantime, ride safe and stay safe. I'll see you next time.